What are some things that guys misinterpret from women as, she's interested in me? Story 1. I was 16 and working at a horse barn. One of the ultra-rich ladies had a houseboy, that's what she actually called him, oh my god, that would come and assist her at the barn with whatever she needed. His car wouldn't start one day. I offered to give him a jump, but it didn't work because there was something else wrong with the car. Oh well, that's the end, right? He started calling every day, first to thank me for being so nice, then just to talk. I would get off the phone as soon as I could, but I didn't want to be rude, right? He asked me how old I was. I told him the truth, that I was 16, thinking that would set him straight. It didn't, and he cheerfully told me he was in his mid-30s. It was with a tone of like, oh, you like chocolate? Well, I like vanilla. Isn't it funny that we're different yet get along so well? Effing yikes. He kept asking me out on dates. I would try and politely refuse. Again, I don't want to be rude, do I? I kept emphasizing I was still in high school and had little time for dates. He asked me if he could take me to prom. I started to get scared then. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why these mid-30s guys wanted to be with a 16-year-old loser with a curfew. Wouldn't older women who didn't live with their parents be much more appealing? Ugh, but he kept calling. Finally, one day the phone rang and a lot of the rich horse ladies were there and they saw me panic and I could tell something was up. I told them what was up. I will never forget this one woman marched over to the phone. It was that dude. She gave him the most epic scolding. Then she contacted security. This place was very fancy with security gates and had him banned from the premises. She also followed up with the lady who he was working for and told her all about it. After she got off the phone with him, she sat me down and gave me a serious talk about how to handle this crap in the future. That has served me very well in life. I really appreciate those rich horse ladies for teaching me how to stand up for myself. First off, dude in your mid-30s. Gross. Just friggin' gross. Don't. Oh my dear Lord. And second, yes, unfortunately, ladies, sometimes you have to learn how to stand up for yourselves and draw hard lines because apparently, even if you're not giving any indication that you want things to go further, some guys are just going to keep pushing until you beat them away with a shovel to the face. Don't actually hit someone. It's a metaphorical shovel. But, yeah, stay safe. Story 2. This story is so bizarre when I tell people it. I feel like they don't actually believe me, but here goes. When I was cocktail waitressing in college, a group of middle-aged men came in. They were seated in a section that wasn't busy, and they were pretty much the only table. Another waitress passed them on to me because she was leaving because her section was dead. I greet the guys. They were on their third bottle of Grey Goose, being loud and having a good time. I was chit-chatting with them when they started to compliment me. They thought I was flirting with them and started getting suggestive, and I kept being polite and trying to get to my other tables, so I thanked them and started to leave. But the guy put a $100 bill on my tray for me if I showed him my bra. I said absolutely not. Then he kept putting more and more hundreds on the tray while his friends were laughing and demanding more for the money until the amount was up to $1,000. He said you can walk away with this money if you go to the other side of the bar and lift your shirt to show your bra and cover your face. I was so angry. I told them off, threw the money on the table, and told them I was going to get the manager and they were cut off. Then the other man next to the one who tried to give the money then chided me, saying I was young and flirty, and how I was turning down a big opportunity to be this man's friend, and that it could lead to more money and I'd be taken care of. And it was so insulting and rude of me to tell him no, and what a lost opportunity. I told him he was rude. I was there paying my way through college. I didn't want their money or to be someone's mistress, and that I was no longer going to serve them. I told my manager and she just laughed and called them jerks. That's it. All because I was trying to do my job. I apparently came across as wanting to be a middle-aged man's mistress. I was so angry I left soon after. Folks, if someone is doing a job where part of that job is to be polite to you, then don't take stuff that they do to be flirting unless they are extremely overt. Like, hey, are you doing anything later? Here's my number. Stuff like that. Otherwise, don't just assume, oh, this person's being nice to me. Show me your bra. Like, that's gross. just a little bit of common sense. I know they were drunk, and so they probably weren't in the best mind, but if they're that drunk, that still doesn't excuse their behavior. They're still being absolute creeps. Story 3. Women service sector workers being friendly to them in the course of doing their jobs. Oh, hey, it's that thing that I just talked about. Huh. Story 4. I remember reading a post a long while ago about some guy who was having problems booking a plane ticket and used the website's chat feature to try to solve the issue. He became convinced that the woman answering his messages was flirting with him because she used a smiley face emoji and didn't exit the conversation once the issue was resolved. Having worked in places like that, we were told not to be the one to exit the conversation first in case the customer has an additional query that they forgot to mention. This guy missed her and wondered if she was thinking about him too. The answer is, she absolutely is not. Story 5. Being employed in a bar and serving him. Dude, I'm required to be polite. You are older than my dad, and I can smell you from here. I do not have a thing for you. Story 6. Accidentally making eye contact on the train. This happened to me. I was standing on the train, staring in front of me, zoning out as you do. This guy who was in my line of vision thought I must be staring at him. So he came and stood right in front of me and asked if it was okay for him to stand there, then proceeded to hit on me and boost himself up as to why I should talk to him. I just turned up my music and ignored him. After a few stops of doing this, he got the hint. Also, a creepier thing happened to me on the train while I was traveling with my son. This guy sitting in front of me was smiling at my kid and trying to talk to him. Then he whipped out his phone and started taking pics. As soon as I picked up my phone to take a pic of him, he ran out of the train. People are effing creeps. Story 7. A classmate, G, in college and I met up to peer review for our senior semester 3 or 4 times. Years later, I ran into a mutual friend, K, and she said she was so glad that G and I dated, or else we, K and I, would never have been friends. I was like, dated? And she was like, yeah, I remember G was always talking about how you guys were dating in the last semester. Story 8. I tried to pay for my coffee. He worked at the coffee stand. I don't know. It was weird. Apparently, being polite whilst ordering my beverage meant it was a green light to try and ask for my number and then lean over the bloody counter and kiss me on the cheek as I was about to walk away. I was 19 at the time and had no clue what was happening. Okay. First off, let's just address the fact that you don't just kiss somebody that you don't know because you think they were flirting. That could be assault, right? I don't know the law, but don't. And second, can we just stop, don't flirt, don't assume that people who are working and are supposed to be courteous are flirting with you, and don't assume that if you're the one doing the customer service, that the customer being nice means that they're flirting with you. Just stop. Can't we just do business in business places? Story 9. If he is really interested in me, then almost anything I do can be misinterpreted. Laughing when they say something funny, being physically close even if it's because we're in a small space with lots of other people and it can't be avoided. Smiling, just like I do to other people. Just generally being a friendly person. It's just treating them like I treat other guys I'm friends with, but those guys won't take these as signs I'm interested in them because they aren't hoping for signs that I'm interested. Story 10. Everything. I remember a post in here by a guy who thought a woman had chosen a particular color sweater to mirror the one he had worn the day before, and surely it was a sign. There is nothing at all too small to lead someone thirsty to assume it's a sign. I forgot my personal anecdote, so here goes. New roommate when we were in college. The apartment housed 5 people, and this guy was new after someone dropped out and moved away. We were all hanging out one night and talked with him a bit, joked a bit. Nothing intimate or flirty at all. Later, one of the others told me that he'd asked her to tell me he wasn't into me, so I shouldn't get my hopes up. He had claimed I was obviously flirting. I never wanted him, nor liked him much as a person. Story 11. I've been told that I have a happy face and smile a lot. A lot of guys seem to interpret this as a come-on. I'm not sure why. People are nice to each other all the time without necessarily wanting to F. If I'm really flirting with someone, they know. Story 12. Treating them like a person. I've had multiple guys I didn't even want to look at to think I was into them because I smile and laugh a lot naturally, and they all assume I do it for them. Story 13. I had a friend who was constantly preemptively rejecting me. I'd never date you. Don't fall in love with me. Hey, there's this girl who is not you who I really, really want to ask out. When all I did was be friends. Smile at him? Oh my God, don't fall in love with me. Ask to hang out? Yeah, but only as friends, right? Friends, right, buddy? I guess he figured that because I was plain looking and overweight, I must be hopelessly waiting around for my chance with him. Nah, son, and in case you hadn't noticed, no one else wants to date you either. I had to stop being friends because it was so damn annoying and he wouldn't stop it even after I gave him the smackdown. Good Lord. The ego on this person. Like, if I was you, I would have a hard time with after that happening like the third or fourth time, not just like bursting out laughing in his face and then going, oh my God, you don't have to worry. I promise. Story 14. In my experience, anything from being ordinarily polite, guys in a university club, to please leave me alone, I'm trying to text somebody, stranger in a bar, to literally walking through town on my own, not interacting with anybody, old guy I didn't know. Some men just think they're irresistible. Story 15. Literally so many things. Eye contact, wearing a short dress, makeup, etc. My boyfriend's college roommate literally stalked a girl he didn't know because she was listening to love songs on Spotify and he thought they were about him. Story 16. I dressed nice that day, especially if it's when I'm at work. I shouldn't have to dress in a potato bag to wait off advances from men who think I'm available, especially when my wedding ring is in plain view. Some don't care, making extended eye contact. I stare at people in the eyes out of habit because it makes it harder for them to BS me, and I pay keen attention to body language. I don't excessively smile, but I keep a polite face. Does not equate to flirting whatsoever, but for some reason, paying attention to someone and not using submissive body language translates to flirting at times. So we're at the end of this, and there's been a bit of a recurring theme in these stories about how, for many women out there, just trying to be nice and polite in society or wearing clothes and existing is getting them extreme unwanted attention. Now, I know guys are going to say, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, they're not going to just come out and say, I am interested, please initiate flirting. I don't think that's what's being asked. I think there's nuance, there's a middle ground, there's like slowly trying to figure things out, getting to know somebody, and not just assuming. I think a lot of this is just strangers. You see a stranger, the stranger looks at you and go, they want me. No, they don't. They don't know you. Maybe they do, and if they do after just looking at you, that's scary. That's not how things go. So just get to know someone. Be friendly. Focus on just making a friendship. And if things start to kindle from there, I think it will be gradually slightly more obvious. Is that anything? I don't know. I'm so tired and a little high, and I want to go lie down. Goodbye. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.